Hey y'all, I'm excited to share with you today some of the things that I'm doing to prepare my body for pregnancy. My husband and I got married in June, and we know that we're going to start trying to start a family somewhat in the near future. And so these are just some of the things that we're doing to prepare for that. We know that it takes 3 months for a sperm and an egg to mature. And so knowing that everything that is done within 3 months, sometimes even before that, is going to affect the health of sperm and the health of the egg that's released to create a pregnancy and to create a baby. And so knowing that, my husband and I are getting a little head start on making sure that we are taking good care of that health and keeping that in mind. But also some of the things I'm going to be sharing with you are ways that I'm preparing my body to just handle pregnancy well and to feel healthy and strong and comfortable during pregnancy. What I'm sharing today is absolutely me not giving you medical advice and not telling you what you should do for your body. It's simply me sharing what we are preparing to do. And this is based off of me as a pelvic floor physical therapist, helping hundreds of women through their pregnancies, seeing the patterns that tend to lead to a lot of the problems that women deal with and struggle with throughout pregnancy, and me knowing that there are things that we can do ahead of time to mitigate or lower the chances of those things happening. And so we are choosing to be proactive with that, and I just want to share with you what some of the steps that we are taking so that maybe it'll help you start to look into your own research and start to think about some of the things that you could do to prepare your body as well. I also want to note that none of this is new to us and to me specifically. So a lot of the things that I'm sharing are habits or things that we have already been conscious about for a while now, or habits that we already try to implement. And I also am a firm believer in balance. So it's not stuff that we are 100% consistent with all the time. And this is really just us kind of sitting down and saying, okay, you know what, starting now, we're going to get serious about this. We know that we're going to try to conceive in the near future. And so these are habits that we want to kind of get locked in and be more consistent with so that we can support that health of sperm, health of egg, and health of an embryo before we start down that path. If these habits were all completely new to us, it would feel way too overwhelming. So please keep that in mind, that it may not be worth completely overhauling all of your habits and all of the ways that you look at your food and your products and your exercise and every health aspect of life. If it's not something that you were already thinking about before, all of this all at one time would be way overwhelming. And so keep in mind, this is stuff that we already are somewhat consistent with, and we are just trying to get completely consistent with it for a period of time for a specific goal. The very first thing that I started on was actually about 10 months ago. I saw my naturopath. So I already work with a naturopath that I highly, highly trust and refer patients to and family to as well. I saw her, and I always get regular blood work done with her so that we can just check on any deficiencies that need to be addressed so that I can stay feeling really good. But with that blood work, I just relayed to her that I was like, hey, we might be trying to conceive within a year, maybe a little bit more than a year. We're not really sure, but I just want to make sure that we also look at levels that are important for fertility and important for pregnancy as well. And so we checked all of that blood work. And based on that blood work, I have been taking supplements ahead of time to work on any deficiencies that we found or anything that, per her suggestion, we needed a little bit higher levels are for optimal levels. Remember, sometimes there's a difference whenever you get blood work done between looking at levels that are disease markers, so levels that are outside norm, versus looking at what's optimal. And whenever I'm working with my nutritionist, I'm always looking for, I want optimal levels of things because I want to feel really healthy and feel really good. And then especially in the sense of fertility and a healthy pregnancy, we want optimal levels for those things. That's just the way that I choose to go about it with the practitioner that I work with. And so the supplements that I've been taking, some of the levels that I was low in are ones that I kind of am chronically low in. And she said, well, the good news is that a really great prenatal covers most of this. So I started taking a prenatal. I'll probably be on a prenatal for well over a year before we even start trying to conceive. It's recommended anyways to be on a great quality prenatal before you start trying to conceive, just so that your body is already supported in that way whenever you have that implantation and have that very beginning of pregnancy. And so I started on that, one, because that's already what's recommended, and two, because it already covered a lot of the deficiencies that we found. And then outside of that really great quality prenatal, we sprinkled in some other supplements that, again, I'm probably not going to share with you because they're specific to my blood work and to me, and might not be anything that your body needs or anything that you need to supplement with. But the prenatal that I chose and that my naturopath approved of is needed. One of the reasons that I chose it is because it comes in a powder form, and so I just knew that I would be much more likely to take it if it was something I could mix into a smoothie and mix into other things every day, instead of, I'm just not great with taking capsules, and I was already going to be taking so many, so it was great to have that powder option just as like a vanilla powder that I could add to things. And so I really enjoy my needed prenatal. And then I've also been working on some other deficiencies through nutrition and through some other supplements, and I'm really excited to have those levels optimal before we start trying and before I add a pregnancy to my system. Additionally, we started my husband on some supplements that are just overall supportive of fertility and especially of sperm health. And so he didn't have any blood work done. He had blood work done a couple of years ago, and he's been on top of all of that ever since then. So we really just started him on some overall good supplementation that research says supports sperm quality and sperm health. And so he has started on those, and we are both going to stay consistent with that until whenever we are blessed with a pregnancy. I'm going to have a link in the description of this video, and that link is going to be to my Fullscript account, where you will see listed some of the fertility supplements that we chose and that my naturopath supports as well. And it's just great quality fertility supplements. I'm not going to be linking any of my personal supplements that were based off of my blood work, but just great all around. We know that this is supportive of good fertility, good sperm quality, good egg quality. And so my Fullscript link to that, so that you can see which supplements I'm talking about, will be linked below. The next thing that I'm really making sure to get on top of and get more consistent with is my strength training. So I've always been someone who has had strength training as a part of my life ever since I was in undergrad, college. But I definitely go through phases where I'm less consistent with it and phases where I'm more consistent with it. And I'm just coming off of a season of a few months of being way less consistent with it, just based on other things going on in life. I just launched a new program and had some big business things going on. And when bigger things like that tend to start in my life, my strength training and my workouts take more of a back seat than I would like. And so knowing that, I really want to go into pregnancy with good strength and good resiliency to my system. I know that I want to get more consistent with that strength training leading up to that conception time, or that period of conception. So that's something that I'm going to be shooting for, is getting back to strength training consistently 3 to 4 times a week. In my experience as a pelvic floor PT that works with women through pregnancy, that strength and that resiliency can guard you against so many of the common pains and aches that women deal with, that low back pain, sciatica, SI joint pain. Addressing some of those strength deficits and muscle recruitment patterns and just adding overall strength to the system. One of the biggest things that I see and the biggest difference that I see in women who feel comfortable during pregnancy and the ones who have to deal with and struggle with so much of that pain that we've all accepted as normal and common during pregnancy, but really it's a sign of a muscle imbalance and a strength deficit, and then it's really hard to address during pregnancy. So knowing that from my own professional experience of working with patients, that's something that's super important to me, and that I'm going to be getting consistent with before I head into the journey of pregnancy, so that I already have that great strength foundation laid, and I already have that habit built in of continuing those workouts and continuing to stay active and keep my body moving throughout pregnancy as well. Along the lines of that, I'm also going to be getting more serious at addressing my mobility deficits. It's something that I'm pretty traditionally not great at. As a physical therapist, I'm very aware of the mobility deficits that I have in my body. I just don't necessarily take much time to address them, especially because right now they're just kind of bothersome. It's nothing that's causing an injury for me. It's nothing that's keeping me from doing things that I want to do. And so it's nothing that I address consistently the way that I would suggest a patient does. But I know, and I have seen it happen, that some of those some of those mobility deficits that people, it's like nagging or a little bit bothersome. Then when you're pregnant, it actually is something that can become a very big deal and lead to a very big thing that you're dealing with, and that keeps you feeling really uncomfortable and maybe in a lot of pain during pregnancy. And so I'm going to do the best of my ability to address those things before pregnancy, and whatever doesn't get addressed, and I will continue continue to monitor and take care of and support. But I'm going to do the best that I can to just get a little bit more consistent with addressing those mobility deficits so that maybe I can lessen how much of those deficits I go into pregnancy with. Also, I will be going to see a pelvic floor PT. And so this is becoming so much more common. I'm so excited to see more and more women do this. It's not super common, but I do get phone calls of women saying nothing's wrong. I have no symptoms. I'm just planning to try for a pregnancy soon. And I want to come in and learn about my pelvic floor. And I want to make sure that there's nothing that I should address before pregnancy. And so I get that as a pelvic floor PT, but also as a pelvic floor PT, I'm aware of my own pelvic floor dysfunction. And I know that my pelvic floor dysfunction specifically is the kind that could get in the way during labor and delivery and prevent an efficient vaginal delivery. And so I also know that it is a lot easier to address the deficits or the dysfunction that's in my own pelvic floor pre-pregnancy than it is to try to address during a pregnancy. And so I will be going to see a very trusted colleague, a pelvic floor physical therapist here in the area so that she can help me address my pelvic floor deficits and do the best we can to address those before we add a pregnancy to the system. Nutrition-wise, I'm going to be really focused on my protein goal. This is something that I feel like I just stay consistent with. I've been consistent with for years now, and so that feels pretty easy to me and I'm able to eyeball it pretty well. I shoot for about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight for myself. I have 2 goals with this. One is that it's great to support egg quality and fertility to have that good protein as part of your diet. The second is that I want to stay very much in a habit with this because amino acids are the building blocks of protein. They're also the building blocks of life. So when I am pregnant and my body is sustaining a pregnancy and growing a baby, I want to make sure that I'm still in that habit of getting plenty of protein in. We have studies that show that having that high protein diet during pregnancy can help guard against things like gestational diabetes, preeclampsia, or high blood pressure during pregnancy. And so not only is it important to me to just have that high protein to support my muscle growth and my resiliency and my overall health, I also want to make sure that I'm already in the habit of getting that protein in from multiple different protein sources so that I can continue that during pregnancy to help support growing my baby, growing my uterus, keeping me feeling strong and healthy during pregnancy, and trying to avoid some of those pregnancy complications. Along those same lines, I'm also going to be paying attention to my hydration goal. This, just like my strength training, is something that I do tend to have really good seasons with and really bad seasons with. I've had a kind of bad season with it lately, not terrible, but not super consistent. And so I just want to get better at making sure that I'm getting half of my body weight in ounces of water a day. One, like I said, same with protein goal and same with strength training goal. One, to support egg quality and fertility right now and my overall health, but also because I want that habit already built in and already feeling easy because I know so many women struggle with it during pregnancy and so many women struggle with it postpartum when it gets super, super important to get tons of that water in to support so many things that go on during pregnancy and especially during postpartum. So I just want that habit already feeling easy. So I'm starting on that now. No alcohol is a big one that both my husband and I are going to be starting on. So we know we have studies that show that alcohol can really disrupt or get in the way of good sperm and egg health. And so we just both feel that that's really not worth it to us. And so at least 3 months before we start trying to conceive, and then the entire time that we are working on conceiving, neither of us will be having alcohol. We both agreed on that pretty easily, so that wasn't a hard adjustment for us, but just knowing the impact that it can have on sperm and egg health, it just doesn't feel worth it. And that is our own personal decision, nothing that anyone else has to follow along with, but we firmly believe in that, and so we will be not having alcohol in that time period. And then also along those same lines is that we're going to be very mindful of the products that we use, both like personal care products that we use on our bodies and products that we use in the home. Again, this isn't new to us, and so that doesn't feel overwhelming, but that one thing alone, if it's nothing you've ever paid attention to, can feel very overwhelming because that's like a whole overhaul of everything that you're used to buying and using on yourself and in your home. So this isn't something I'm perfect with, especially with my beauty products. I would say I'm 95% good good with the products that I use, and then here and there I sprinkle in some stuff that probably isn't best for fertility or isn't best for hormone health. And so that's something that I'm just going to get better at, and just saying, you know what, these other products that I use from time to time, either hair products or makeup or skin products, aren't worth it to me in this period or in this season of life while we're gearing up care of our fertility, gearing up to conceive, and then during pregnancy. Our home products, that's already something that I swapped out years ago and we've never gone back. So home products, that's an easy one for us. We tend to especially stay away from anything that has fragrance. That's a huge one. It's actually, I'm super sensitive to fragrance, so it's an easy one for me, but that's a big one that we try to stay away from. But yeah, that's something you could go down a whole rabbit hole. And so again, that's something that we did years ago and that we're already pretty good at. So that's going to be an easy swap for us, or an easy thing to get more consistent with. The one thing I want to point out that you might not think about and that we are switching over now for the first time is some of our cooking stuff. Our cooking utensils, pots and pans and things that we drink out of, all that, that's already regular, but I feel very strongly about, I don't want us heating anything up in plastic. And so we already don't do that. We already have eliminated so much plastic in our kitchen. There's little things though, like our coffee pot. We still use a traditional coffee pot. It has a stainless steel carafe, but if you think about it, there's all of that boiling water going through plastic pieces of the coffee pot. So we're probably switching to a pour over or to a French press that is all stainless steel on the inside. We'll see what that looks like. So we might be making some small changes to stuff along those lines, especially just in regards to plastic, and making sure that we are limiting plastic and especially eliminating anything that's heating up anything in plastic. And so that's something that's important to us for supporting fertility and hormone health, and we'll be taking those steps. So again, I want to reiterate, that might sound like a lot and sound really stressful, and it absolutely would be if it wasn't something that we had been taking steps to do already. All of those areas are things that we've been taking steps over the last few years to do, and so none of it is completely new to us. If all of that was completely new, it probably wouldn't be something we were embarking on, because I wouldn't want the stress of that going into trying to conceive and pregnancy. But because we'd already been making those switches over the last few years for our overall health, then all of these switches, none of them are completely new and therefore not overwhelming to us. But I don't want you to feel overwhelmed if it's nothing that you have started to think about or done around your home or in your health journey yet. Maybe just pick one or two to start to look into and see, how could we improve this, or how could I get a little bit better at this habit? That's a great place to start and can make a big difference. If this is something that you're interested in, I want to invite you to follow along on our trying to conceive journey. Hopefully, if we're blessed, our pregnancy journey and my postpartum journey. I'm going to be sharing about it here on YouTube. I'll be sharing it over on my Instagram account, so you can make sure that you're following there. And then last, I just want to remind you that in the description of this video, I am going to link my Fullscript account that has my suggested fertility support supplements in it. That Fullscript account will get, through that link, will get you, I believe it's anywhere from 15 to 20% off of really high quality supplements. And so that's my gift to you. You can put things on reoccurring order, which I think is so nice, so that you never run out of things. And you will always get that discount for every single order that you place through the Fullscript account. And then, like I mentioned, I also have those recommended fertility support supplements for both men and women linked in the link that I linked below. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it was helpful. Drop any questions below that you might have, and I'll see you next week.